Hello everyone. So in the previous lecture we studied about this carbon fullerene C60, but actually the voice was not audio was not clear in that video. So I will make another video with fine audio. Okay. So before going that, but before that we are going to study now carbon nanotubes. Okay. And so in this presentation we are going to study CNTs, which is named as carbon nanotubes. Okay. So let's go further. So carbon nanotubes CNTs were discovered by Professor Sumio. Okay, Ijiyama at Japan 1991 by a methodology of arc evaporation, which I have in the previous session, although the voice was not so clear, but I told that there is a method which is known as arc evaporation through which we can generate a high temperature for the formation of C60 fullerene or these type of isomers and isotopes, this kind of materials, CNTs and nanotubes and fullerene C60. Okay, so this is image an anime image, cartoon image. Okay, so here you can see he is a professor Sumio Ijiyama in Japan in 1991. By arc evaporation method, he produces such a kind of temperature through which he produces carbon nanotubes, which are basically the more modified form of C60 fullerene. Okay, so let's go further. So these are four kind of C60 structures which you can see. Okay, so this is graphene, and this is CWCNT, which we will talk on the further sessions. Okay, and this is graphene also. This is an see, CWCNT is formed from this carbon nanotube is formed from this graphene structure, and from this graphene structure, that is B, MWCNT, this is MW carbon nanotube is formed. Okay, so we will talk about these things in a further session, but this is just an introductory session of carbon nanotubes. Okay, so let's go. So this is a diamond, which you can see is also we know that it's a kind of carbon. Okay, so it's a carbon isotopic carbon formed from C60 fullerene. So this is a carbonic structure. Okay, so the graphite is also from carbon. This fullerene is C60. We know it. So these are all carbonic structures. Okay, so let's go further. See, carbon is this atom. Okay, we know that the atomic number of carbon is 6 and its atomic mass is 12.0107 AMU atomic mass units. Okay, so this is just a flow chart for a good remembrance of all these things. Okay, so carbon atom, from carbon the two branches are going. This is crystalline form, amorphous form. Okay, we know in the lower we've studied in 9th, 10th also in the lower classes that you know what is crystalline amorphous also in the 11th, 12th standard maybe. So crystalline and amorphous are the two different sessions. Okay, crystalline consists of, we know that there is symmetry, there is not a symmetry, and many things are there. So we are not going in that form, but for just for this remembrance, we just must know something about this crystalline. Okay, so this is crystalline and it consists of three parts: diamond, graphite, and fullerene CNTs. Okay, and this is amorphous and it also consists of three, that is coke, carbon black, and charcoal. Okay, so you can see that amorphous is kind of powderous thing. Okay, it's a powderous, and crystalline and formed completely of which we know that, which we can see, and having the sharp edges like crystals. Okay, so in the crystalline which is made up of carbon, are basically diamond, graphite, and fullerene CNTs, carbon nanotubes, and amorphous are coke, which is basically kind of charcoal thing, and carbon black, which is basically powderous. Okay, powder kind of. So this is a basic distinguishing or a basic differentiation between these two, crystalline and amorphous. Okay, so now let's go further. This is a structure of carbon C60 fullerene. Okay, so you can see that at the at these are the bonds, and between these points are the carbon. Just assume that these are carbons, carbon, carbon, carbon. So suppose I'm just with my hand, this you can see the structure cursor, at this I am here on this carbon atom. So if we draw a vector a1 and a2, so these are basically the distances between two carbon atoms. Okay, but not adjacent. Okay, so this vector is named as chiral vector. This is Na1, Ma2, and Nm are basically coefficients. Okay, and this is chiral angle. So basically, if I am from this, I'm taking a reference carbon atom. Okay, and I'm drawing a vector which goes up to here. And if then this will have the two components. One, maybe you can say that Na1 plus Ma2 sums as a chiral vector, or whatever the pronunciation is, ch vector. Okay, so this is the sum of these two vectors. Okay, lattice vector you can say, and the angle between this the main summation of this na1 ma2, that is ch, and between the base, it is na1 line, you can assume the x-axis or what is theta, which is known as chiral angle. Okay, it's chiral angle. Okay, Yeah. So let's go further. Note we need to go in the pronunciation depth, but it's fine. It's chiral angle. Okay. So next it is, these are the basic structures for in-depth understanding. Okay. This is a structure of surface structure of C60 N tube, carbon nanotubes. Okay. So these are all the things which I have means we have just discussed in the previous slide. So these are of the surface structures. So yeah, this is the same here. A chiral vector or chiral vector, chiral vector can be specified by these indices nm using basis vector a1 and a2 of a graphene sheet. Okay, so let's go further. DCC, these are also the simple angles for fine understanding. So you can see here is that different structures are being drawn. The zigzag line of a carbon atom taken as a reference here, and this and this. So okay, yeah, I told you this Na1 plus Ma2. This is a summation of the, as you can see in the previous slides. Yeah, Na1 plus Ma2. So same is here. Na1 plus Ma2. Okay, Na1 plus Ma2. Same is here. So, just basically the different pictures are being drawn in this slide. I think the slide is at the end. Okay, yeah. So this is the end of the slide. Now we will just, you know, we're going to switch on our C60 Fullerene. Okay, we're fastly going to switch on C60 Fullerene, and again we are going to make a, a clearance of that. So these are in my download sessions, and this is this is yeah, this is Fullerene. Okay, let's start for this Fullerene. We already discussed in the previous session, for but the body voice was not so clear. It's hanging in between, but okay, let's start. It's taking a lot of time. Yeah, we're ready. Okay. So this is basically C60 Fullerene. You can see on your screen. If it's not clear. So this is basically C. Yeah. So this is Fullerenes. We just pronounce it as Fullerene. Okay. So C60 Fullerene is a Fullerene structure. Okay, it's a polyhedral carbon structure. Okay, composed of around 60 to 80 carbon atoms in pentagon and hexagon configuration. They are named after Buckminster Fuller because of the structural resemblance to geodesic domes. Okay, so Fullerene can be made in high temperatures such as arc discharge in an inert atmosphere. Okay, such as an arc discharge in an inert atmosphere. Okay, such as an arc discharge in it. So I told you in this the previous video which we have made on carbon nanotubes, in that the professor Ijiyama just made this CNTs by an arc discharge. So same is from this C60 Fullerene carbon Buckminster. Okay, and this what is being done is that in high temperature an arc discharge is being made, so to produce a high temperature for this what do we say that, for the formation of this Fullerenes, okay, in an inert atmosphere. So the next thing is that this is the name of the scientist at the back of whose name is that, for the respect or paying respect to this scientist, the name is being given to this Buckminster Fuller or C60 Fullerene. So the name of this is Richard Buckminster Fuller. Okay, so at 1917 that was. So this is the Buckminster Fuller, which you can see that it is like a disk domes. Okay, so this is the Montreal Biosphere by Buckminster Fuller in 1967. So this is Fullerton C60 structure, which you can see that 3D hollow Buckminster Fuller C60 structure, and this you can see that is a kind of infrastructure which resembles this Fullerton C60. So this is geodesic domes. Okay, so C60 is also known as buckyball, as it is spherical cluster of carbon atoms arranged in a series of 5 pentagonal and 6 membrane hexagonal rings to form a soccer ball shaped molecule. Yes, we can see easily that we can see, you can easily observe this thing that it resembles a football. Okay, so that's why it's being said as buckyball. So C60 Fullerene, okay, the bonding pattern in the C60 Fullerene is that, as you can see on your screen, that these are the yellow bonds which I am, by cursor I am showing you yellow bonds. So these yellow bonds, basically they represent double bonds, okay, and these red bonds are basically representing the single bonds. And we know that the double bonds means more strength, means that the carbon atom will be closer to each other, and the single bond means less strength, which means the carbon atoms, adjacent carbon atoms will be far away as compared to this double bonds. So the length of double bond is shorter and the single bond is longer. Okay. Same is here. The pentagonal rings contain only the single bonds. Double bond have a shorter bond length. Fullerenes consist of 20 hexagonal and 12 pentagonal rings on the basis of 20 hexagonal and 12 pentagonal rings on the basis of icosahedral symmetry, closed cage structure. Each carbon atom is bonded to 3 others and is expected to hybridize. The C60 molecule has 2 bond lengths. The 6 ring bonds can be considered double bonds and are shorter than 6 bonds. Okay. Yeah, it's fine because double bond is shorter than the longer bond, means that single bond. C60 is not a super aromatic as it tends to avoid double bonds in pentagonal rings, resulting in a poor electron delocalization. As a result of C60 behaves like an electron deficient alkene and reacts readily with electron rich species. See, we know that if the electrons are not delocalized, okay, if the electrons are, see, suppose C60 is poor in electron delocalization, that means there will be less stability, and the molecule or the atom or the molecule, the structure will be in hunger of gaining the more electrons to gain the stability. So that's why it's been said here, it's been written here that C60 is not a super aromatic. That is, it tends to avoid double bonds in pentagonal rings, also resulting in the poor, because if it's avoiding the double bonds and the pentagonal rings, so there will be electron deficiency. There is, and also it's the result is that there is a poor electron relocalization, so there is no stability. So it behaves like electron deficient alkene and it reacts readily with electron rich species. So this can also be, yeah, this acts as also a kind of positive factor for this molecule, which we are going to study in the further slide. Okay. C60 form a normal FCC structure. These are the points which you must keep in remembrance. Okay. You must remember these points, that what are these? Okay. So let me annotate this thing. Yeah. So C60 form a normal FCC cubic lattice structure. Okay. So keep this in mind. Also this, that C60 fullerene shows intercalated ions as a tetrahedral and octahedral holes have a significant size differences. Okay, you can see a significant size difference between the tetrahedral and octahedral holes. Cesium fits comfortably into the octahedral holes, but it is large to be accommodated in the tetrahedral holes. Okay, it's fine about cesium. These are some physical properties of C60. Density, its density is 1.65. Okay, this is the density of this, and its standard heat of formation is 9.0 kilocalorie per mole or mole inverse. Refractive index is 2.2 if the wavelength is considered as 600 nanometer, the incoming wavelength. Boiling point, that is the sublimation process, takes place at 800 Kelvin, and the resistivity is 1014 ohms meter inverse. Oh, sorry, M inverse. Yeah, ohm meter inverse. Yeah, it's rho is equals to R L by A, so it's like this. And crystal form hexagonal cubic structures. Okay, and the Weber pressure is at 5 into 10 raised to the power minus 6 torr at room temperature, that is 273 Kelvin, and at 8 into 10 minus 4 torr at 800 Kelvins. Appearance of these C60 are basically buckyball suit, very finely divided black powder kind of, and full red is, you can say it's brown and black powder. C60 looks like black solid. The odor is odorless. It doesn't have a smell. You can't say that this is a smell of C60. And the one thing is that fullerenes are also found to be soluble in some common solvents like benzene and toluene and chloroform. Even shakes up the fullerene suit with toluene and filter the solution. What you will find that red color kind of substance is being wrapped in the solution, which is basically pure carbon form. Okay. C60 fullerene family. Okay. Other relatively common clusters are, we just know about C60. Okay, but There are more being made in the past, which is C70, C72, C74, C76, C80, C82, C84. And these are all the considered in the group of the families of C60 Buckminster Fuller. Okay. Plenty of others are there higher or lower than C60 exist too, but less abundant in experimentally produced mixture. Fullerene suit. Okay. Type of Fullerenes are C60 Buckminster Fuller, C70, CTSMs, nanotubes, which we have studied in the previous video. Okay. Nanotubes topic. Okay. So types of Fullerenes. Since the discovery of Fullerenes in 1985, structural variations on the Fullerenes have evolved well beyond the individual clusters themselves. Example include the first example, which is under the list of the types of Fullerenes, is buckyball clusters. That is smallest member is C20. In the buckyball cluster, the smallest member is C20, which is basically the unsaturated version of dodi sorry dodecahedrane, and the most common is C60. And the nanotubes basically are the hollow tubes of very small dimensions having single or multiple walls. Potential applications are basically in the electronic industry. And megatubes are basically the large in diameter than nanotubes and are prepared with the walls of different thickness, potentially used for the transport of variety of molecules of different sizes. These are the megatubes, which are basically its application of the megatubes is basically, you must remember, keep this point in remembrance, that the application is it's potentially used for the transport of a variety of molecules of different sizes. Polymers, chain polymers, two-dimensional, three-dimensional polymers are formed under high pressure, high temperature conditions. Nano onions. What are these nano onions? Okay, so just keep in mind this fact for the knowledge that spherical particles based on multiple carbon layers surrounding a buckyball core proposed for lubricants. Okay, so these come under the section of nano onions. Linked ball and chain dimers, two buckyballs linked together by carbon chain. Okay, suppose that two buckyballs are there. So if they're linked together with a connecting point that is a carbon chain, so it is basically named as Fullerene rings. Okay. So this is a synthesis of C60. You can see this is the experimental setup is used to discover C60. Okay, the graphite disc is evaporated with NdYEG laser. So graphite disc is being taken, okay, used, and it's evaporated by this laser, and the evaporated carbon plasma is cooled by a stream of helium. So you can see that stream of helium is going through these gaps, these gas waves. Okay, so this so this the geodisc, the graphite disc, which is being evaporated with the laser, okay, NdYEG laser, okay, which we need to consider here a lot. So it evaporates its, okay, the evaporated carbon plasma is passed through this cool helium stream, okay, forming a pulsed wave, okay. Then the cluster of carbon is produced in the integration cup. So this is the integration cup, okay, and expanded into the vacuum. So it's going towards a vacuum, and the ions which are produced are detected by the time of flight mass spectroscopy. So this is a kind of methodology, that is time of flight mass spectrometry, which uses, as the ions, that you can see that as a cluster beam is going through, ions are going through here, so they are going, so such certain kind of time of flight is being measured for particular ions, and the ions are being detected. So on the basis of this thing, differentiation is being made between particular form of ions and all, so which will lead to, which we can see here, that is schematic illustration of processes involved in the synthesis and purification of Fullerenes. Basically, graphite rods are evaporated in an arc under a helium atmosphere. The soot collectors is extracted with toluene and subjected to chromatography. What happens is the ion is being detected, okay, and also the graphite are evaporating. When the graphite was evaporated in an arc, what is happening inside the structure is that in the helium atmosphere a lot of temperature was there. So what happens is that soot is collected and extracted in toluene. As I've told, that C60, when it was used with solvents, common solvents like benzene or toluene, what happens is that it dissolves, and when solution is being filtered, the red color substance remains. Okay, so this is basically the collection of this Fullerenes. Okay, you can see this inside, there will be red color substance. So these are the various spectrums. These are the various spectrums basically. Okay, you can see these are the various spectrums. The infrared spectrum you can use. Let me zoom it more. These are the various spectrums. Okay, this is an infrared spectrum at C60 Buckminster Fuller at left. This is a nuclear magnetic resonance structure. Okay, spectrum at C60 right. So this is four infrared active vibration bands due to isocohedral symmetry. Isocohedral symmetry is basically, if you are the center, if you're going at any other point, say from center to this atom, so everything will be symmetrical. This kind of thing. So this is the UV and visual spectrum chromatographically purified C60 at left, and a mass spectroscopy showing the higher fullerenes present in the carbon suit. So these are basically nothing but just spectra which are being traced of these C60s. Mass spectrometry had been widely used to study the fluorescence. Okay, why we do spectrum analysis? The need of this is to study the structure. And also we can, with the help of the spectroscopy, we can find reaction with other chemicals, other atoms, and all stuff. Okay, so there is an evidence of species of smaller C20 plus as well as stable peaks for the cluster ions. So this is basically a knowledgeable point which you can keep in mind. What are the application areas of C60 Buckminster fullerene? It is being used as antioxidants. Okay, why? Because see, fullerenes are powerful antioxidants. Why? Because reacting readily at a high rate with free radicals. Free radicals, carbon plus one electron on the upside. Just a picture. Okay, so which are often the cause of cell damage or death. Okay, fullerenes hold great promise in the health and personal care applications. So it's a really important point that free radicals, they react readily with high rate of free radicals, which are basic reason, which are a cause of cell damage and death. So if they are reacting with that, they can they can reduce the effect or they can even remove the effect. So it promises a good health and personal care application. Also, the C60 is being used as a polymer additives. Fullerenes and fullerenic black are chemically reactive and can be added to polymer structures to create a new copolymer with specific physical mechanical properties. So suppose that you are having some kind of polymer which is which contains or is a complete package of some kind of physical properties and some chemical properties. So if you need some other polymer from which contains a subset of that properties which is being contained in this initial one, so what you need to do is this add this fullerness. But what does it does? What does it do? It just fullerene and fullerenic black are chemically reactive, and when they're added to the polymer structures, create a new polymer with some specific physical mechanical properties. So we can get a copolymers which contains a subset, which contains a subset of the set of the properties, physical or physical and chemical of the initial polymer, the main polymer. Okay, they can also be added to make composites. Much work has been done on the use of fullerenes as polymer additives to modify physical properties and performance characteristics. These are the other application areas. Marked ability to accept to transfer hydrogen atom, hydrogenation, hydroalkylations, highly effective in promoting the conversions of methane into higher hydrocarbons, and inhibits coking reaction. So also this Buckminster fullerene act as a catalyst. How? Because if you are converting methane into ethane or higher hydrocarbons, okay, so the process involves kind of energies. Okay, so this Fuller and Buckminster, this act as a boosting effect for this chemical reaction. Okay, also it is being used as water purification and biohazard protection. Singlet oxygen catalysis of organics with Fuller and C60. So if you are using a singlet oxygen, this will act as a of organics. Basically, this will act as a catalysis system mechanism for the C60 Buckminster Fuller. It has been the water purification, also the biohazard protection. Biohazard protection means the hazardous radiation which are coming from outside. Okay, so this means basically biological hazardous radiation. So you can get a protection from this. Portable power, also in technology it is being used. Proton exchange membranes for fuel cells, vehicles. Enhanced durability leads to enhanced durability. Okay, and low heat buildup, better fuel economy with use of fullerene and black and rubber compounds. Okay, in medical area it also plays a good role, that is magnetic resonance imaging agents and drug delivery. So these are basically the main applications of this Buckminster Fuller. So till now we have studied about Buckminster Fuller introduction and its its positive sides and also the drawbacks. Also, we've studied in the first initial lecture, we have studied what's carbon nanotubes. Okay, so comment me if you want to study more things. Okay, so fine, we'll end the meeting here.